Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in the kingdom, there is a divine announcement echoing from heaven today. A prophetic shift is taking place in your life, not by chance, not by coincidence, but by divine design. And here is the word: God is about to open the right door just for you. We often live in a world obsessed with options. Open doors everywhere, opportunities, connections, paths, platforms. But what if I told you that every open door isn't a blessing and every closed door isn't a curse? The question is not how many doors, but which one is God's. A door in the mind of God is never just a random opportunity. It is not merely a chance for advancement or a lucky break. When God opens a door, He is not trying to make you feel important. He is aligning your life with the assignment He wrote before you were born. We must understand that in the language of the kingdom, a door is not just an exit or an entrance. It is a divine portal into purpose. It is a shift from where you've been to where you belong. This is why doors are sacred. God doesn't deal in luck or human ambition. He deals in design. And every door He opens is designed with your name on it, but more importantly, with your purpose attached to it. The door isn't about promotion, it's about assignment. Until you grasp that, you'll keep knocking on doors that look good but are not God. You'll chase access instead of destiny. You'll settle for invitations instead of waiting on your divine instruction. But when you mature in the kingdom, you begin to realize something deeper, that doors are symbols of destiny. They represent transition into the next dimension of God's will for your life. Throughout Scripture, doors are not merely architectural, they are prophetic. In Exodus, the blood on the doorposts represented life or death. In Revelation, the risen Christ says, "Behold, I have set before you an open door that no man can shut." In John 10, Jesus declares, "I am the door." That alone should make you pause, because in the kingdom a door is not a thing, it's a person. Jesus is the door, and when God opens a door in your life, it means He's opening a way for Christ to be revealed through you, in you, and around you. So you must stop treating life like a hallway full of options. God doesn't send you into life to guess. He sends you to discern. You weren't created to try every door. You were created to walk through the right one. The one that was made with your voice in mind, your gifting in mind, your pain in mind, your calling in mind. The right door isn't chosen by human effort. It's revealed by divine alignment. This is why discernment is more important than ambition. Many people are ambitious, but they are walking through doors that lead to burnout, confusion, and spiritual compromise. Because they mistook opportunity for destiny. They mistook popularity for purpose. They thought a bigger room meant a greater calling, but the size of the room doesn't prove the presence of God. What proves it is whether the door you walked through was assigned to you. Because a door not assigned by God becomes a distraction. A door opened by man can be closed by man, but a door opened by God is sealed in eternity. You have to stop asking God to bless a door He didn't authorize. God doesn't bless your hustle. He blesses your obedience. He blesses your surrender. That's why before He opens the right door, He will often shut many others. Not to hurt you, but to train you, to teach you how to recognize the difference between good and God, between being invited and being sent. Some of the doors that broke your heart were necessary for your development. They were proving grounds. God was not rejecting you. He was refining you. Every no was making you sharper. Every shut door was narrowing your focus. Every unanswered prayer was a reroute to your real assignment. And when the right door opens, it won't come with confusion. It will come with peace. It won't pull you away from God. It will drive you deeper into Him. It will require faith, yes. It will stretch you, yes. But it will fit you. You won't have to fake who you are to keep it open. You won't have to compromise your values to walk through it. Because when God opens the right door, He also equips you for what's on the other side. He doesn't just give you the key. He gives you the character to carry what's inside. So you need to understand this truth today. God is not interested in opening just any door for you. He is preparing you for the door. The one that leads to your destiny, the one that will cause everything you've endured to make sense, the one that brings your pain and your purpose into alignment, That door is coming, it's not delayed. It's being developed, and when it opens, you won't have to knock it down. You'll walk in knowing that heaven already declared it was yours, because it wasn't built for anyone else, it was built for you. Not every door is yours, and until you understand that truth, you will live your life exhausted, confused, and disappointed, not because God isn't faithful, but because you are trying to walk into rooms He never assigned to you. This is one of the most crucial lessons in the kingdom of God. Just because a door is open doesn't mean it's yours to enter. The world teaches us to chase every opportunity, to seize every moment, to knock until something opens. But the kingdom teaches us something deeper, discernment. Discernment is the ability to recognize not just what is good, but what is God. Many people waste years of their life walking through doors that were never theirs. They accept positions, they build relationships, they chase platforms and careers, not because God led them there, but because the door was simply open. But here's what you must understand: Satan opens doors too. Not every open door is divine. The devil doesn't always come to destroy you through disaster. He often distracts you through opportunity. He offers you open doors that seem attractive, even spiritual, but they are designed to derail your destiny. If you're not rooted in your identity, you'll confuse access with approval, and you'll mistake Satan's trap for God's blessing. You must learn to ask a deeper question then: is this door open? The right question is, was this door assigned to me? When a door is yours, you don't have to force it open. You don't have to compromise your convictions to walk through it. And you certainly don't have to become someone you're not to stay inside. The door that God opens for you will be in alignment with your purpose, your values, your preparation, and your identity. But when you walk through someone else's door, just because it's open, you will find yourself managing something you were never graced to carry. We live in a culture that teaches us to fight for every open door. People will say, if it's there, it's meant for you. That is not kingdom wisdom. That is cultural deception. God never told you to walk through every door. He told you to follow His voice. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight." What is He saying? Don't assume that every opportunity is your assignment. You have to trust that the God who created you knows what He's doing. He knows which doors are not just available, but appropriate for your calling. Think about David. He had the chance to kill Saul and take the throne by force. The door was wide open. His men even said, "God has delivered Saul into your hands." But David understood that not every open door is righteous. If he had stepped into that opportunity, he would have violated the process of God. David chose to wait for God's door, not man's opportunity. That's why he became king with favor, with peace, and with God's blessing. Because he understood that divine doors require divine timing. Or consider Jesus in the wilderness. Satan took him to a high place and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and said, "I will give you all of this if you bow down to me." That was an open door. A shortcut, power, glory, success, all without the cross, but it wasn't the Father's will. Jesus knew that access without obedience is rebellion. A door that leads you away from your purpose is not a blessing. It's a burden disguised as a breakthrough. When you walk through a door that wasn't yours, you may feel excitement at first, but over time you'll feel a heaviness in your spirit. You'll start to compromise just to keep the door open. You'll lose peace. You'll lose clarity. You'll work twice as hard and produce half the fruit. Why? Because that door wasn't yours. You were never meant to carry the weight behind it. There is a kind of struggle that produces growth, and there is a kind of struggle that is simply unnecessary, because you're in the wrong room. But when God opens the right door for you, everything fits. The weight still exists, but it's a weight you were built to carry. It stretches you, but it doesn't break you. It grows you, but it doesn't change who you are. You don't have to perform. You don't have to chase approval. You don't have to pretend. You simply walk in and operate in the grace that was already on your life, because this door was designed with you in mind. This is why waiting is not weakness. When you wait on God's door, you protect yourself from unnecessary pain. You preserve your energy for the battles that matter, and you walk with authority because you know that this door wasn't opened by politics, by people, or by pressure. It was opened by the King of Kings. And when he opens a door, no man can shut it. So the next time you see a door open, don't rush in. Pause, pray, discern, ask the Holy Spirit, is this my door? Because you don't want to waste your life walking in and out of places that were never part of your destiny. You were not born for random access. You were born for strategic assignment, and only the right door will lead you to your divine purpose. Delay is one of the most misunderstood tools in the hands of God. We've been conditioned to believe that if something doesn't happen immediately, it must not be God's will. If the answer doesn't come quickly, we think we've been denied. But God is not in a hurry. He does not operate according to our schedule. He is not influenced by deadlines or pressured by impatience. What we call delay, he calls development, and what we think is denial, he often designed as a necessary pause in the preparation process. There is a danger in confusing God's silence with his absence. Silence is not the same as abandonment. When God delays something, it's not because he has changed his mind about your calling. It's because he's setting the stage for the fulfillment of it. You see, divine timing is not just about the what, it's about the when. God doesn't only want you to walk into your purpose. He wants you to arrive prepared so that what blesses you doesn't break you. The timing of God is connected to the wisdom of God. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what's ahead. He understands the traps, the trials, the responsibilities that come with the very thing you're asking him for. Sometimes God will delay what you're praying for because your character hasn't caught up with your calling. Your spirit might be willing, but your soul is not yet healed enough to carry it. He loves you too much to give you what you're not mature enough to manage. The delay is protection, not punishment. Think about Joseph. God gave him a dream at 17 years old. A vision of leadership, of influence, of elevation. But the palace didn't come the next morning. He went from being favored by his father to being thrown in a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, imprisoned, and forgotten. For 13 years nothing looked like the promise, but what looked like delay was actually divine positioning. God was not denying Joseph's future. He was training him to survive it. The palace was ready. Egypt was ready, but Joseph was not. So the dream had to wait until the dreamer was ready to carry it with wisdom, integrity, and grace. Delay is also how God purifies your motives. When things take longer than expected, you begin to question not just the outcome, but the intention. Are you still willing to follow him when it's not working in your favor? Can you still worship when you have no visible results? Delay will test the difference between chasing purpose and chasing applause. If your motivation is to be seen, celebrated, or successful in the eyes of men, you will not survive God's timing. But if your motivation is to fulfill his assignment, you'll wait as long as it takes. Because you're not in love with the outcome, you're in love with the one who called you. God never wastes time. Every season of delay is packed with purpose. It is in the waiting that your roots go deeper. It is in the silence that your discernment sharpens. It is in the obscurity that your identity is refined. Don't curse the hidden seasons. That's where kings are forged. That's where warriors are trained. That's where leaders are molded. Everyone wants the door to open, but not everyone is willing to be ready when it does. God is not preparing the door for you. He's preparing you for the door. Sometimes what feels like delay is really divine alignment. God is working on people you haven't met yet. He's orchestrating conversations in rooms you haven't entered. He's shifting resources, altering atmospheres, and unlocking hearts in places you can't even see. You're looking at your calendar. God is looking at eternity. When the appointed time comes, it won't be forced. It won't be fragile. It will fit. You will walk into the moment and know, this is it. This is what all the waiting was for. And you will be glad you didn't settle for anything less. Even Jesus waited. 30 years of obscurity for 3 years of public ministry. If the Son of God could wait, who are we to demand instant results? Jesus understood that the timing of his assignment was critical. Every miracle, every message, every move had to happen at the appointed time, not early, not late, but exactly when heaven had ordained it. So you must trust that when it seems like nothing is happening, everything is happening. God is not ignoring your prayers. He's answering them in a way that protects your purpose. What he has for you is still coming, but it will come when you are aligned, not just available. It will come when you're developed, not just desperate, and when it arrives, you'll know it was worth every second of the wait. Delay is not the end of your story. It's the evidence that God is writing it himself. And when he finishes the chapter, it won't just be a door that opens. It will be a destiny that unfolds with the fullness of his favor. Every door that God opens is not just an entry, it's also an ending. The door to your future often requires the death of something in your past. That's the part most people don't like to talk about. We celebrate open doors, we shout about new seasons, we post about elevation. But we rarely talk about the pain of leaving. Because in order to walk through what's next, you must be willing to bury what was. That's not a punishment, it's a principle. You cannot carry the weight of your former season into your future assignment. The door God opens demands that you travel light. There is a divine shedding that happens before true elevation. God doesn't just promote people. He prunes them, he cuts off what is no longer fruitful. He disconnects you from what is no longer feeding your purpose. Not because it's evil, but because it's expired. Some doors remain closed because we're trying to bring old attitudes, old relationships, old priorities, and old mindsets into new dimensions. But the law of the kingdom is this: you cannot resurrect what God has already buried. If you keep trying to drag yesterday into tomorrow, you'll abort the purpose of today. Abraham had to leave his father's house before he could become the father of nations. Elisha had to burn his plow before he could follow Elijah. Peter had to drop his nets to walk into his calling. Even Jesus had to leave the carpenter's shop before he could begin his public ministry. In every transition there is a funeral. Something must die so something else can live. God is not just inviting you into a room. He is transforming you into the kind of person who belongs in that room. But transformation always begins with separation. Separation from comfort. Separation from familiarity. Separation from what used to work. Many people want the promise without the process. They want the promotion without the pruning. But God doesn't elevate you to make you feel special. He elevates you to advance his kingdom, and you cannot serve the kingdom effectively while still clinging to Egypt. You cannot lead a generation if you're still in bondage to your past season. God is not interested in making you comfortable. He's interested in making you ready. Ready for the responsibility, the influence, the pressure, the visibility, and the spiritual weight that comes with the new door. Some of you are standing in front of a divine opportunity, but you can't walk through it. Not because the door is locked, but because your hands are full of what was, full of who you used to be, full of things God told you to release. You can't receive what's next while still holding on to what's over. God is waiting for your release before he gives you revelation. He's waiting for your obedience before he sends opportunity. And he's waiting for your surrender before he gives you access. This is why some doors take time. It's not because God is slow. It's because we are stubborn. We want the new season, but we want to keep the old habits. We want the oil, but we don't want the crushing. We want the crown, but we don't want to give up control. But you cannot reign in the new unless you're willing to die to the old. That's not just a shift, it's a sacrifice. The question is not, God, when will you open the door? The real question is, what am I still unwilling to let die? God will never elevate what he cannot trust, and he cannot trust someone who keeps resurrecting their old season. Some of you are mourning what God has already moved on from. You're praying for restoration when God is calling you into redefinition. You're asking him to breathe life into what he already declared finished. Let it go. The door you're asking for is waiting on your willingness to close the chapter behind you without needing an explanation, an apology, or closure. The closure is your calling. Even Jesus said, Unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it produces much fruit. That's the kingdom way: death before multiplication, surrender before promotion. The cross before the crown, that is not weakness, that is wisdom, because in the kingdom God doesn't elevate what's untested. He doesn't trust what hasn't died. You cannot truly lead until you've laid something down. When you walk through God's door, it won't just feel like a new opportunity. It will feel like a new identity, because what comes with the door is a demand for discipline, a demand for maturity, a demand for purity, a demand for clarity. God doesn't give you a new door so you can show off. He gives it to you so you can show forth His glory, and that requires dying to yourself, your ego, your preferences, your schedule, and your past. So if it feels like you're losing something in this season, don't panic. Don't cling to what's familiar. God is making room, not just around you, but in you. He's clearing out what can't go with you. That grief you feel, that tension, that sense of loss, it's not just emotional, it's spiritual. It's the final stretch before the shift. God is preparing you for a door that only the new you can walk through. And if you're willing to let the old you die, what waits on the other side will make every burial worth it. One of the greatest misconceptions people have when it comes to walking in purpose is believing that the right path will be the easiest one, that if a door is from God, then it will come without struggle, without pressure, without resistance. But ease is not always a confirmation of calling, and struggle is not always an indication of misalignment. The door that God has opened for you may not be the most comfortable, the most convenient, or the most applauded, but it will always be the most aligned with the reason you were born. When God designs a door, He does it with your destiny in mind, not your comfort. Purpose was never meant to be painless. Jesus didn't die to make you comfortable. He died to restore your kingdom authority, and that authority comes through obedience, not convenience. Many people miss their door because they're waiting for it to look glamorous. They want it to come with applause, with peace, with perfection, but the right door won't always feel good. It will stretch you, challenge you, require your faith, and call forth your obedience. But that's how you know it's God, because it pulls something divine out of you. Your purpose is not about popularity. It's about assignment, and assignment always carries weight. The right door may lead you into a storm like it did for the disciples on the sea. It may lead you into the wilderness like it did for Jesus after his baptism. It may lead you into isolation, into rejection, into sacrifice. But it will also lead you into power, into revelation, and into alignment with heaven. The danger is that many people turn away from the very thing God called them to simply because it wasn't easy. Don't be deceived by the smoothness of a path. Some of the easiest doors lead to the greatest distractions. Some of the most popular doors are traps dressed as blessings. Just because a path is wide and smooth doesn't mean it leads to purpose. Jesus said, "Broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." You're not called to the broad road. You're not called to the crowd. You're called to the kingdom, and kingdom doors are often found on narrow roads. You must learn to recognize divine alignment over worldly approval. The door that aligns with your purpose will often look like sacrifice. It will cost you relationships. It will require you to say no to things you once loved. It will demand growth in areas you've been avoiding. But it will also unlock levels of anointing, wisdom, and favor that can't be accessed any other way. The right door is not about what you gain, it's about who you become, because God's ultimate goal is not to make you successful. It's to make you like Christ. Sometimes the right door will look like work. It will look like waking up early when no one is watching. It will look like being faithful in a small place, hidden, unknown. It will look like obedience in obscurity. That's what David did when he was anointed king. He went back to tending sheep. The oil was on him, but the crown hadn't come yet. Why? Because the door to his destiny required development, not just desire. The throne wasn't about prestige. It was about purpose, and God doesn't promote based on potential. He promotes based on process. Don't walk away from a door just because it comes with pressure. The pressure is part of the preparation. Diamonds are formed in pressure. Oil is released through crushing. Gold is purified through fire. You will never fulfill your assignment if you avoid everything that makes you uncomfortable. God is not calling you to the easiest path. He is calling you to the most fruitful one, and fruitfulness comes through pruning, not pampering. The right door will stretch your faith. It will force you to depend on God like never before. It will require you to pray deeper, think sharper, and love stronger. But it will also awaken gifts you didn't know were there. It will unlock parts of you that have been lying dormant. It will show you that what you thought was your ceiling was really just the floor of your next level. The difficulty is not a sign to retreat. It's a sign that you are entering territory that requires maturity. Too many people are addicted to comfort, and as a result, they stay locked outside of their destiny. They keep choosing easy over purpose, applause over alignment, speed over depth. But you cannot live for purpose and convenience at the same time. The door God has for you may cost you your pride. It may force you to forgive. It may require you to move when you feel like settling. But it will always lead you closer to the version of you that God had in mind when He formed you in your mother's womb. So don't pray for easy. Pray for clarity. Don't ask God to remove the resistance. Ask Him to give you the grace to press through it, because when you walk through the right door, the God door, you won't just arrive at a new place, you'll become a new person. You'll realize that the resistance wasn't there to stop you, it was there to shape you, and on the other side you'll understand why the easy door would have never been enough. Sometimes the greatest blessing God gives you is the door He doesn't open. But because we live in a culture obsessed with access, success, and elevation, we often misunderstand the protective nature of God's no. We see closed doors as rejection, when in reality, they are often a form of divine redirection. God is not just managing your opportunities, He is preserving your identity, because purpose without purity is dangerous, influence without integrity is destructive, and doors that open too soon to the wrong people or under the wrong conditions don't bless, they break. You see, God doesn't just open doors for your benefit. He opens them for His glory. And when a door threatens to compromise His glory in your life, He will shut it and seal it without explanation. Why? Because God is not in the business of endorsing what He didn't ordain. He's not impressed by popularity, platforms, or pressure. He is committed to protecting the integrity of the assignment He placed in you before you were even born. And sometimes the protection shows up as a closed door that leaves you confused, heartbroken, or frustrated. You may think that opportunity was perfect. The timing seemed right. The resources were there. The people were lined up. Everything felt like a green light. But just because it was available doesn't mean it was God ordained. Access is not always alignment. And what looks like rejection from your perspective may be preservation from His. Because God sees what you don't see. He knows what you're not ready for. He knows the hidden motives of people, the traps behind the stage, the cost behind the curtain. And He will close a door to save your soul, even if it wounds your pride. The problem is that most people don't see the full picture of purpose. They only see the present moment. But purpose is not about what's convenient. It's about what's consecrated. And consecration requires separation. Sometimes God has to shut the door not because He's trying to punish you, but because He's trying to keep you pure. There are doors that lead to promotion, and then there are doors that lead to compromise. Not every opportunity is sent by heaven. Some are traps dressed as blessings. Some are distractions wearing the mask of destiny. And if your discernment isn't strong, you'll end up praying for something that God is actually protecting you from. You don't need every door to open. You only need the one that keeps your purpose intact. You only need the one that leads to your becoming, not just your achieving. You only need the one that allows you to carry the weight of your assignment without the corruption of your character. And that's why God closes doors. Because He's not just preparing the opportunity for you. He's preparing you for the opportunity. And if you walk into a door that your spirit isn't anchored enough to handle, The very thing you prayed for could destroy the very thing He created in you. There are moments in your life where God will deliberately frustrate your plans to preserve your destiny. He'll shut down the relationship you idolized. He'll dissolve the partnership that seemed promising. He'll block the job that looked like a dream, not because He's cruel, but because He's kind. He knows that if you got what you wanted when you wanted it, without the process to carry it, you'd mishandle it and misrepresent Him. Purpose without purity is counterfeit destiny, and God won't endorse what has the potential to destroy your testimony. Sometimes He'll allow doors to remain closed so that your motives are purified. Are you chasing the door because you want to be seen, or because you want to serve? Are you praying for the opportunity because you want validation, or because you want to fulfill His will? Closed doors have a way of exposing the motives that open doors would never confront. They test whether you're addicted to success or submitted to process, whether you're committed to the vision or just hungry for the outcome, whether you're in love with the promise or the one who made it. Look at Paul. He had a burning desire to preach the gospel in Asia. It was a noble intention, a kingdom goal, but Acts 16 says the Holy Spirit forbade him. The door was closed, not because Paul was out of order, but because God had a different alignment. Paul's frustration turned into redirection, and that redirection led to Macedonia, where the gospel exploded in a new region. What looked like a divine no was actually a divine yes to something greater. The delay was strategic. The redirection was prophetic. The closed door was the compass that pointed Paul to his next assignment. So the next time a door slams shut in your face, don't just mourn, discern. Don't just ask, why did this happen? Ask, what is God preserving in me? What is He purging? What is He redirecting? What is He protecting that I don't even know is under threat? Because God loves you too much to let you walk into something that your spirit can't survive. Every closed door in your life is not a loss. It might be the most powerful form of deliverance you'll ever experience, because on the other side of that shut door is the integrity of your purpose still intact. And if God closed it, it's because what's ahead is better, holier, deeper, and more aligned than what you thought you needed. So now I tell you, stand still and know. Stop running from door to door, hoping one will swing open by chance. God is not in the business of random. He is not playing hide and seek with your destiny. He is strategic. He is intentional. And when the fullness of time comes, when your heart has been refined, your character forged in the fires of process, your discernment sharpened, and your motives purified, then, and only then, will the right door swing open with divine precision. Not a second early, not a moment late, but right on kingdom time. You were never called to chase doors. You were called to follow purpose. Doors are the result, not the goal, and the door God is preparing for you is not about status. It's about stewardship. He is not just opening access. He is opening assignment. He is not just promoting you to platforms. He is positioning you to advance the kingdom. That's why it took time. That's why it was hard. That's why some doors stayed shut. Because the weight of your calling is too heavy to rest on immature shoulders. But I declare to you now, by the Spirit of God, the door that's about to open will not be like the ones before. This one will not lead you into confusion, compromise, or chaos. It will lead you into clarity, into consecration, into a dimension of impact, influence, and authority that you have never known, not because you're qualified, but because you're yielded, because you chose obedience when no one was watching, because you stayed faithful in the wilderness, because you let the old version of you die in secret, so the new you could rise in purpose. So don't despise the delay. Don't curse the closed door. Don't try to force your way into what God never authored. What He has for you is for you, and no man, no system, no mistake, and no devil in hell can shut what He has decreed open. You don't need to manipulate, scheme, or strive. Your only job is to stay aligned, stay ready, stay surrendered, because when God opens this next door, it won't just change your location. It will unlock your assignment. And when you walk through it, the world will no longer just see you. They will see Him through you. The door is coming. The door is sure, the door is right, get ready.